Hi guys, look where I'm at. School, yay! I'm here grading your packets, and I'm going to do a couple Flat Stanley chapters. So I'm going to record one Flat Stanley chapter at a time, and I'll stop it and then I'll upload them. That way you can watch them all together. You can watch one day, whatever you want to do, okay? So the last chapter we left off on was chapter 2.
Okay, staff, if you are parked outside of the cafeteria, please move your vehicle for the lunch program. Thank you.
I'm still getting interrupted by the bell. Oh well. Okay, so we left off on chapter 2, and they were in San Francisco, and Stanley met Lily, and Lily was in the wheelchair, and she wanted Stanley to help her change the view of people in wheelchairs. And she was going to be an escape artist, or she was going to try to escape from Alcatraz. And Stanley and his father decided that they would try to help her. Okay, so we are on chapter 3, introducing the escapist. When he and his father climbed out of the van at the Fox's farmhouse a few hours later, Stanley was greeted by a big, shaggy dog that bounded up, flattened him to the ground, and licked his face. "Sequoia!" a voice called. "Heel!" The dog leaped off of Stanley and sat panting beside him. A barefoot woman with curly blonde hair and a flowing, brightly colored dress reached up for Stanley's hand, helping him up. "I'm Lily's mom, Amber," she said, and turned toward Mr. Lambchop. "And you must be Stanley's father." "It's George," Stanley's dad replied. Here's a picture of the dog. "Well, I want to thank you both for being part of our little caper." She threw one arm around Dr. Fox and put her hand on Lily's shoulder. "When our Lily sets her mind to something, she never gives up." The Foxes led them up to the farmhouse. After Stanley's father had called Stanley's mom to check in, they joined Lily at her parents' for dinner around a worn wooden table. There were so many different colors of food, they reminded Stanley of the fruit and vegetable section at the supermarket. "We grew most of this here on the farm," said Amber, serving Stanley some kale slaw. "In fact, if you eat fruits or vegetables back home that are grown in America, chances are they come from California. There's no better place on earth." She rattled off the things on the table: artichokes, arugula, asparagus, avocados, basil, beets, broccoli, cantaloupe, carrots, celery, corn, cucumbers, edamame, eggplant, escarole. Miss Caldwell does not know how to say that vegetable. "Mom," Lily gently interrupted, "they get the idea." "But I'm only at the letter E," complained her mother. Stanley realized that Amber had been listing foods alphabetically, and he slapped his forehead. So here they are at the table. "That's something my mom would do. She's crazy about anything which has to do with language." Amber said, "I think you mean that, not which, Stanley." Stanley and his father both laughed at how much she sounded just like Mrs. Lambchop. "I don't know which my mom likes more, vegetables or vowels," said Lily. "Last summer she attached a plow to the back of my wheelchair so I could help keep the fields." Stanley's father said, "A human plow? I suppose that's how you got so strong, Lily." Lily said, "I was born strong." After a dessert of fresh blackberries, blueberries, and boysenberries with cream, Dr. Fox said, "Ready to head out to the barn?" "I could have skipped dinner. I'm so ready," said Lily. Following them to the big barn, Stanley was surprised to find there were no animals. Instead, the inside of the barn looked like a spotless, high-tech body shop for fixing up cars, only without the cars. On the wall hung at least a dozen different wheelchairs gleaming like jewels. One looked more like a tiny Formula One race car, red and white and shiny, with a pointed nose. One was clad in a varsity athlete's uniform, complete with white striped wheels instead of socks. One balanced on what looked like a pair of ice skating blades instead of wheels, and it hung near a hockey stick with a sawed-off handle. And one looked like a bottom half of a ball gown with sparkly fabric covering everything but the bottom of the wheels. "What kind of doctor are you, anyway?" Stanley's father asked. "I have a PhD in mechanical engineering," replied Dr. Fox. "And you made all of these?" said Stanley. "Lily and I designed them and built them together," said Dr. Fox. there's a picture of a lot of those cars that they were, or wheelchairs that they were describing. Which is your favorite? Stanley asked Lily. Depends on the situation. She pointed to one that had paddles instead of wheels and a strange mask sitting on the seat. The first time I used my scuba chair was pretty awesome. Lily rolled along, stopping in front of the last wheelchair in the bottom row, a sleek little black number. This, said Lily, is the Escapist. She's the lightest wheelchair ever built, weighing in less than 8 pounds. She has 14 hidden compartments. Each of her wheel spokes is a different kind of tool, a mini crowbar, lockpick, radio antenna. She's what we're riding out of Alcatraz. Speaking of Alcatraz, said Dr. Fox, as he spread a blueprint of the prison out on a table. The 4 of them gathered around it. So a blueprint is like the building map of a building that the construction people need to build a building. So they're looking at like the map of Alcatraz. So, it's a long chapter, guys. So you really think you can escape? Stanley said. What's the plan? The only way in or out of the rock is by ferry, Lily said. So we'll take the ferry there from Fisherman's Wharf, just like any other tourists. The prison is a museum now, and we'll buy tickets for the last tour of the day. We'll hang at the back of the group until we come to the cell where the gangster Al Scarface Capone used to live. Dr. Fox took over. You and Lily will enter the cell and close the door, locking yourselves inside. You will hide there until the museum closes and the lights in the cell block go out. I'll pick the lock of the cell door, Lily continued. Stanley, it's going to be your job to slip between the bars and check under doors to make sure the coast is clear. There will be at least 1 night guard on duty, maybe more. We'll make our way along this hallway. Lily's finger traced a path through the prison. Then we have to exit through this door to the outside without setting off any alarms. The final stage of the plan, crossing the bay, will unfold on live TV. So the bay is like a big body of water that surrounds Alcatraz because it's on an island out off of the coast of San Francisco. It's called San Francisco Bay. So the bay is a big area of water. How are you going to get it on TV if all this is a secret? Asked Stanley's father. Let's just say we know someone in show business, Dr. Fox answered. Once we get to this point, continued Lily, we just have to cross the bay to the other side. It's simple. Simple, repeated Stanley. What about the shark-infested waters? Lily rolled her eyes. They're really small sharks. Besides, you'll be pulling me pretty fast by that point. I can't swim that far, Stanley protested. Why swim? Lily asked, raising an eyebrow, when a guy like you can fly. Stanley wrinkled his flat forehead. Huh? But then he noticed his father nodding slowly. You want Stanley to be your kite, he said quietly. Lily nodded. Exactly. Finally, Stanley understood. He'd rise in the air, Lily would hold onto a string attached to him, and he'd pull her across the water. It won't work, he said with a shake of his head. Even if the wind was strong enough, I can't pull that kind of weight. We've thought of that, said Dr. Fox. That's why we're taking you to Silicon Valley first thing tomorrow. All right, so that is the end of that chapter. Tomorrow's chapter, or the next chapter, is chapter 4, and it's called Silicon Valley. Okay, so hope you guys like chapter 3, and hope you watch chapter 4.